This video is made possible by Spencer Shipley at Packey Webb Ford in Downers Grove, Illinois. Spencer is dedicated to finding the right car for you in the quickest time possible. Give him a call or contact him with the information up on the screen or found in the description below.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2016 Audi S7. Up front is a twin turbocharged 4.0 liter V8. Down below is a 7-speed automatic transmission. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here S7 for a couple of different reasons. First of all, it's a turbocharged V8. I mean, how can you not be excited to drive something like that? But the second reason, and the more important reason, is the fact that I've reviewed an S4 and an S5 from this same sort of era, a 2010 S5 and a 2016 S4. Now, I love the S4. I think the S4 is a fantastic car, but I really didn't like the S5. So I'm 50-50 on Audi's S vehicles. We'll see which way this S7 falls. Let's get back to that 4.0 liter turbocharged V8. That's right, it's turbocharged and not supercharged. It makes about 450 horsepower, which is a fair amount, but nothing too crazy. Fuel economy, I'll flash on the screen, boom, who cares? The nice thing about turbocharged V8s as opposed to V6s is that you get that extra torque. Those two extra cylinders really help out in terms of torque. It feels like it has a lot more oomph behind it, if that makes sense. All right, roll into it. Lag. It's quick. It's definitely quick. I mean, it's a turbocharged V8, but it's not anything that would melt your face off. And as you saw, it has a pretty hefty amount of turbo lag. Now, you can look at that two ways. First of all, ugh, it has turbo lag, which it does. But you can also look at the fact that this is really a car that you're going to be using on the highway. Audis have always spoken to me as being sort of highway bomber type cars. You're going on the freeway at 80 miles an hour, and then you decide you want to be in the city of Chicago in 5 minutes instead of 25. You put your foot down, and you're on your way. Turbo lag doesn't really matter at that point because you're already doing 2,000–3,000 RPM, and so you put your foot in it and you go. On the highway, there isn't going to be any noticeable turbo lag, but rolling into it for sure, there is some noticeable lag. All right, let me try this again in dynamic. Oh yeah, a lot less turbo lag there. A lot less turbo lag. So, if you are driving in dynamic mode, you're telling the car you're gonna go for it, there's less turbo lag. There still is some, but it's not nearly as bad in dynamic mode. So, I take back partially what I said. When you're driving in comfort and put your foot into it, there is a lot of turbo lag. It's less in dynamic mode, but still present. Still there. Something that a supercharger would not have had. That's the nice thing about supercharger, is that there isn't any lag. It's a lot more linear. Like I said, paired to it, 7-speed automatic transmission. It is a dual clutch and it shifts nice and quietly. Driving around town here, it's pretty much what I would expect. Nice, quiet, and simple, and that's what I look for in automatic transmissions. Also, when I downshift it, pretty quick on the downshifts. Nothing out of the ordinary. Last but not least, this S7 and all S7s are Quattro vehicles, which means that they have all-wheel drive from Audi. I've always been a decent fan of the Quattro system. It seems to work pretty well, and that's all I can ask for. So moving on to the interior, in front of me I have the pretty typical gray-faced Audi gauges. I really like them, and they do say S7 in them, but they don't just say S7, it's actually raised up off of the tachometer. So on the left is my coolant temperature and my tachometer, and on the right is my speed and fuel, and then I have a screen in the center. I want to get back to that tachometer real quick. There's a red line outside of the tachometer, and right now it's sitting up at about 6,500. However, when the car was turned on and it was still a little cold this morning, it was actually sitting at 5,500. The lights changed where the red line was, and I absolutely love that customization because a car changes. An engine's red line changes with temperature, and so I'm glad that they actually show that on the gauge. I think that's pretty neat. In the center, getting back to the screen, I have a couple different things I can swipe through here. That's what I'm showing right now. Nothing really too crazy. Very typical Audi, which is very typical Volkswagen. If you buy a new Volkswagen Golf, you're gonna see the same things. Up in front of me, I do have a heads-up display displaying my speed. Nothing really too crazy, but I like the fact that it comes with that. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my controls for that center screen. And on the right, I have my favorite button, information, voice commands, and volume. Now, I'm a little torn on the steering wheel, and I'm a little torn on the rest of the vehicle as well. It's perforated leather, it's flat-bottomed, and it kind of looks a little boy racer-y, if that makes sense. It looks a little bit cheap. Now, it does say S7, and I like that. But before we get on with the rest of the video, I want to say thank you to the people who made this video possible. First up, cashforcars.com wants to buy your car. They will buy your car with a clean title, salvage title, running, non-running, whatever it may be. You can get your free quote by clicking the link in the description below. Cashforcars.com is the easiest way to sell your car. Within a couple of clicks, they'll come pick up your car in less than 24 hours. You don't even have to leave the couch, and it's absolutely awesome. Next up, we have con plates. The con plate is a suction cup mount for your license plate when you don't want to mount it to the front of your car. If you have to legally have a front license plate like you do here in Illinois, but you don't want to stick it on the front of your car, you think it's ugly, you want to take it off for car shows, whatever it may be, you can actually just put your license plate into the suction cup holder and put it in your front windshield when driving around to remain legal. You can get your con plate in the description below, and every sale helps out the channel, so make sure your car looks good with con plates. Last but not least, I want to talk about the fixed OBD2 sensor. Now, this is a Bluetooth sensor that you plug into your OBD2 port on your car, and it gives you a ton of cool information like your check engine lights, how to fix your check engine lights, approximately how much it should cost, maintenance intervals like oil change, tire rotation, brake pads, when you should change that stuff out. This is absolutely fantastic for anyone into cars or anyone looking to get into mechanics. Fixed is offering my viewers a discount through that link, so go check it out, and again, help support the channel. But with all of that out of the way, let's get on with the review. To the left of me, I do have my headlight switches, fog lights, things like that, and on the door, I have my memory seat options, lock and unlock, power windows, and power mirrors. I do get a Bose speaker on the door as well. Both doors get Bose speakers, and the whole car has a Bose audio system, which is very, very nice. I think Bose is my favorite producer for automotive speakers, and I like that this S7 gets that. And on the door, it does say Audi exclusive, which is part of this sort of interior package, which we'll get into, and it might be exclusive for a reason. Moving into the center, I do have a decently nice display. It comes out of the dash when the car is turned on and off, and I get pretty typical Audi controls in here. I do not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but this is also 2016, so it's not that big of a deal. And overall, I've always liked Volkswagen and Audi's page system and all of the information that they give you about the car. I really, really like that. Getting to the backup camera, I have to say I'm really disappointed with the backup camera. This is a $100,000 car. Now, right now from Packey Webb Ford, you can get it for $50,000, which is a 50% price cut, which starts to make a lot more sense. But originally, if I bought this car for over $100,000 and this was the backup camera that they gave me, I would have been a little bit upset. However, I do have a front camera, which is equally low quality, but at least I get one. Down below the center screen, we have the climate control vents, hazard switch, and a button to turn on and off manually that screen. So I like that. If you're just cruising at night, you don't want this giant screen staring at you, you can turn it off and it moves into the dash, and it looks pretty flush. You can obviously tell that there would be a screen there, but it continues the silver trim, which I really, really like. Down below that, we have our CD player, SIM card, and SD cards for navigation, things like that, as well as you can put audio onto an SD card if you want to. Automatic start stop on and off, my parking sensor button, my wing up and down, which I really, really like. I can toggle the wing on and off, and my traction control on and off. So that wing will come up when you are driving fast, but you can put it up if you just want to anyway. Climate controls, dual zone climate, 3 different levels of heated seats for the front 2 occupants, no cooled seats, which I would have liked to have seen in an S7 at this price point. I mean, the original MSRP of this car was over $100,000. So I would have liked to have seen ventilated seats, but not the end of the world. Moving on to the center console, I have a giant cubby hole up at the front, and my shifter, again, that red leather carries onto the shifter. Not sure how I feel about it. It's just so bright, like cherry red. I don't know how I feel. Normally I love red interiors, but I don't know. To the left of the shifter, I have my power parking brake, and I have a number pad, which is quite interesting. Not sure how I feel about this. It's for your phone. It is pretty responsive though, and I like that. To the right, I have my engine start stop button, which is an odd place to put it. However, that's where it is. And I have my volume and skip track buttons down below that. I love the placement of this. I think it's super smart on Audi's part to put the volume where I naturally rest my hand. At the very bottom, I do have some selector dials for the center screen. I think they have good tactile feedback. However, the buttons around the outside of the scroll wheel are unlabeled. I wish that they were, or at least a little bit more obvious as to what they do. These are just selector buttons. They just kind of look blank and cheap in the center console. Then I do have 2 cup holders, so big friggin' bottle test, and it fails, unfortunately. This has to be the most expensive car I've done the big friggin' bottle test in that fails. Now we gotta talk about the seats. The seats have S7 embossed into them. I really like that. However, they are that same sort of red quilted leather that was found on the steering wheel, on the shift knob, on the door cards. And to me personally, this feels just ever so slightly tacky. I think if I was buying this for $100,000, I'd want it to feel a little bit nicer of fabrics. Unfortunately, it just doesn't offer that nice feel. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review, and then we'll talk about the rest of the car. All right, so now we're in the back of the 2016 Audi S7. I like the space. Headroom's fine, knee room's fine. It's a pretty comfortable back seat. I have my own air conditioning options back here, as well as 2 cigarette lighters. And I get a center console that opens up here, cup holders, things like that. And I get a little center tray here. There is no middle seat because these are sort of bucket seats on their own. But here's the thing. I like the size back here. The size-wise, great. I would have liked to have seen rear heated seats. Again, $100,000, no rear heated seats. You can buy a Mazda 6 for mid-30s that has rear heated seats. Why should a car of the same year cost 1/3 but have a feature that you don't get? You're paying $100,000. You should get everything. You should own part of the Audi dealer. That's how I feel about that. That's why I'm complaining, is that I'm paying $100,000. Give me $100,000 worth of stuff. Let's go take a look at the trunk because it is kind of interesting. This is actually not the traditional sedan that you might be thinking it is. All right, so one of the coolest parts of the S7 is the fact that it looks like a sedan, but it's actually a hatchback. So power from the key right here, and this actually offers a ton of space. The shadows here are really harsh, but tons and tons of space back here. These are obviously the floor mats and stuff like that. You have some tie-down hooks, little net bags over here. Would have liked to have seen a 12-volt outlet, however, not the end of the world. And we can get under here, spare tire, things like that. But really, really cool that this is actually a full hatchback, but it looks like a streamlined sedan. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I love the look of the S7. I think it looks great. I think it looks sporty. I like the wheels. I think all of it just works really well together. This is finished in oolong gray, I believe. It's hard to pronounce, whatever. It's a gray color, silver color. It looks nice. It looks classy, and I love the exterior of it. I also love the little wing going up the back. I just think it's so special. Now let's talk about the S7 as a whole, the Audi S7. Well, to be honest with you, I can't quite shake the idea of this being $100,000 out of my head. $100,000. $100,000. And the reason I can't shake that out of my mind is because there's just certain things in here that aren't quite up to par with what I would associate in a $100,000 car. This red leather is tacky. Now, of course, this was an option that the previous owner picked, I assume on his way to the eye doctor, but not every S7 is going to have this, so I can't knock it too hard for that. What every S7 does have is the low quality backup camera and forward facing camera. For $100,000, I should get a little bit nicer of a camera, at least. Something that looks better than the camera attachment for a Game Boy Color. However, the things that I do like is I like the size, I like the driving feel. This doesn't feel overly large. This is the S7, which is based off the A7, and I always thought that they were these huge cars, but they're really not. And I like that. I like how these feel. I like the turbocharged V8. It's not as powerful as I thought, which is a little bit of a letdown, but it's still a turbo V8. It's fine. 450 is enough horsepower. It just starts to edge on the fact of 450 horsepower at $100,000. Not that much. Like, I would start to look at like a BMW M2, which is like 65, makes slightly less, but it also weighs less. I don't know. It's kind of swirling in my head. And so my final thoughts on this S7 is I have to put it into the L category for S vehicles. It definitely has good aspects. Man, I expected a little bit more. And I expected it to feel nicer, to feel a little bit more luxurious, where, well, this doesn't. Maybe I've been spoiled by BMW, but the BMW M550i, I think, is a better car than this. But that's just my personal preference. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Spencer Shipley at Packey Webb Ford for letting me take out the Audi S7. This is really an eye-opener, and I'm glad I was able to get behind the wheel of it. His information is up on the screen, as well as linked in the description below. If you are looking for a vehicle, Spencer should be the first person you contact. He works with any form of budget, whether it be for a used Audi S7, a brand new Ford, or whatever's in between. He's been absolutely awesome helping me get these reviews, so do me a favor and contact Spencer Shipley. He will get you into the right vehicle you're looking for. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.